Hey, let's talk about games. Hello guys and girls, good morning, Inquisitor here. Today I'm going to be doing a video talking through the leveling system, giving a little bit of feedback to the developers. This is actually a video format of a letter I put together for them, highlighting what I think are 4 or 5 of the huge, major, big, important, stinking issues that are currently sort of within the leveling system and causing a little bit of frustration to players. The reason I put this together is because there's a very big discrepancy between the playtime and Inquisitor rank, and if you're not familiar with Inquisitor rank, it's basically how far you are in the game. So some people are putting 150 hours in and they're barely getting halfway through the progression. Some people are putting 30 hours in and they're completing it, getting to the quote-unquote end game max item level. So the question is, what the hell is causing this? So first up, some simple things in terms of problems with the leveling system. Now, many folk, when they're leveling up, they will go over to Captain Ragnar over here, they will look at items, and some people will never really be aware that the quote-unquote primary stat for your character is the power rating. It is power rating, okay? That you should not be prioritizing anything else other than this number. Granted, if it's 1 or 2 power rating, maybe 5, maybe 5% range damage is going to be better. However, for the majority of cases, going for power rating as you're leveling up is super important. If you've got 5 or 10 bits of gear that are all missing 5 to 10 bits of power rating, you're going to have a much harder time within a mission. And while it says up on the top left here what's going on with the power rating, what it kind of means, this display is well, it's not really optimal, let's be honest, because what a normal game will do when you've got a primary stat is, let's say it's strength or intelligence from something like Diablo, it will just quite frankly say, right, this has plus 30 strength, this will see you get a plus 30% DPS change. And that is so clear and obvious to a player that you just hover over it, you say, oh, this increases my DPS, I'll equip that. And very quickly you learn, as a player, that plus strength is incredibly important. And that's something I think is never really made that clear within this game. We've got quite a few players that aren't entirely sure how to gear up as we go along. And on a similar note, I think many players don't make use, during the leveling system, of making stuff as easy as they can, ooh, a bolt gun, of buying all the recipes they need for the armor they want to be using, keeping a constant eye out in the shop for upgrades, etc., better loot, better gear, crafting the gear you can whenever you go up a couple of Inquisitor ranks to keep your rank as high as you can. That's going to make things a bit easier, but this is not the major problem. One of the major issues is if you've got a player that literally sells every single purple they get as they level up, every single purple they just trash in the bag. So straight away here, oh, I'm not going to sell my recipe, I've just made myself another 15 fate. Now granted, you don't get absolutely loads of fate as you level, but you do get a bit, and it adds up. Because if you get to one of these points in the game where the rating of the next area is a little bit too high, and you need to get, let's say, 2 Inquisitor ranks to make it a little bit easier. 2 Inquisitor ranks is going to normally be, in the early game, about 400 fate, roughly about 2 missions per level, give or take, sometimes it's 1. But 400 fate is about 80 normal missions, or it's 80 purple items that have been sold. So if you've been crafting, and if you've been turning every single purple item as you level, basically, you're going to suffer a little bit in terms of Inquisitor rank, and that for me is a little bit of a problem. Same with the turret system. So, if we load up for a second here, go over to Uther's turret, if we're crafting a custom turret, and you don't pick a good combination of items that will give you 1 purple here, and potentially the value of 3 purples with this card, or between 1 and 4 purples rather, that's going to save you a lot of total time. If you go for quote-unquote a bad combination of credits and crafting materials, that is going to basically mean you're going to have to do at least 4 more mission types, 4 more normal missions to catch up with someone that picked the cards that are actually good. Do you get me? It's a little bit frustrating for me to see. If I do 10 tarot missions like that, then that may save me 40 normal missions, a whopping amount of time. But that is a huge difference between a player that maybe does a random mission and just gets some any old rewards, or they just think, oh, I could do with some credits and things like that. Really, that fate card needs to be just chucked out until late game. It's really good. Too good. Far too good. And it's just mandatory, because if you use that 30, 40 times while leveling, that's 80, 120 normal missions it saved you. And again, selling all those purples, selling all of them, instead of disenchanting them, is far, far, far more efficient, because when you get to those points where you need fate, you're actually going to have it there ready for you. Now, another problem, and a whopping big, massive, huge, sort of ginormous problem. Look at all of this fate that can be sunk. 50, 100, another 50. We are up to 250, 300, 400, 5, 6, 725, give or take. 725 to level your crafting. Now, a normal player, a quote-unquote normal player that's played a lot of ARPGs, will be saying to themselves when they've got this game, if I level crafting, that will make my leveling experience more efficient, right? It's going to make the game easier for me, and it's going to make things better, it's going to make things smoother. Is that really right within Martyr, where, yes, crafting will eventually let you exchange stats, upgrade your items, make them more swish, all of that type of stuff? However, that's not your primary stat. Your primary stat is going to be power rating. And because you've spent 700 fate in here, you've missed out on about 3, maybe even 4 Inquisitor ranks early in the game if you invest too much into crafting here. So my advice for anyone that's looking to level up in this game, do not touch this. Do not touch this, because you may need that fate to complete some of the jumps within the game, to get through some of the hurdles when the power level system isn't sort of working in your favour. Sell every single purple item, don't disenchant them. Crafting them is really not worth it. If you get an amazing recipe, you'll get enough materials just by playing the game and opening chests. Honestly, I've got 82 and I've never disenchanted a purple item, ever. So something to consider there. And a few things, again, I really think the developers need to tweak. Now, another problem, when you're playing the game through, what you'll notice with the story mission, it'll go sort of chapter 1, chapter 2 and chapter 5. And it just does these ginormous gaps, ginormous leaps. You'll notice all of a sudden you'll be against a power rating level which has jumped by about 300, and you think, what? That's way too high. Now, at that point, and it normally doesn't make it clear, but from my observations, if you don't have an investigation going, or if you've got one already going, you need to complete it, irregardless of if it's bugged and costs you glory. But you need to use this damn console to spawn you an investigation within a subsector, and that will give you, after you've completed it, that will give you access to another story series. Now, there will be points in time where you need to jump up 2 or 3 ranks in order to get to the next area. That's where hoarding a little bit of that sort of fate can come in handy, having a little bit to splash out. But the truth is, it doesn't matter so much if you spend it early level or if you spend it mid-level, because you get 100, the reward is static either way. Same with the story, you're not going to suffer from diminishing returns because you've over-leveled. So go on tarots whenever you want to, honestly. If you really need to gear because you've got some terrible gear, and you just would like to do some tarots to do it that way, fine, no problem at all. If you want to get some purple weapons, it really doesn't matter, but just make sure you're getting the total volume of missions in by selling all of those items, by not disenchanting any of them, and using the right cards when you're going on the tarots. Do investigations when you don't have any story, see if it spawns you anything. It'll take you 5 missions. Honestly, I have gotten this character from the lowest level, very first beginning, early level, brand spanking new character, to the absolute item cap, which is level 40, without doing a single regular mission. I did 2 investigations. I wouldn't count them as regular missions, but I did 2 investigations via this screen, and that turned out to be a total of 10 missions, which were of the sort of less interesting variety or non-rank giving variety. Because whenever there wasn't some there, boom, I jumped in here and one magically appeared. Granted, there's not, sometimes there may be points in time where you do one and it doesn't appear. It's not very obvious, and this is a little bit of the feedback to the developers, that you've kind of got a leveling system which isn't inherently obvious as to what's going on. However, it really is worth us pointing out there's only 5 chapters here, okay? There are 10 chapters in the final game. Now, we don't know if the final game is going to be a level cap 80. We don't know. We don't know if it's going to be higher than it is at the moment, because we've obviously got stuff that is at rank 80 here. We just don't know. However, we do have a system where players that don't have story missions don't know where to get the story missions in a quote-unquote non-linear open-world game. Some people even believe they just randomly spawn as you're playing the game, but I've met people that have played 100 normal missions and not unlocked one of these purples. So my overall thoughts are that the overall leveling pace is absolutely fine if players know how to do it. However, I do dislike the discrepancy generated. For every single purple item I sell, I've saved doing a normal mission. I get 5 fate for doing it. Some other sod's getting 5 fate for doing a normal mission. I'm getting 5 fate for selling a purple. And I've saved myself, if assuming we're both doing a purge mission, maybe 30 minutes, just because I wanted to click it instead of disenchanting, and I think that is not right. That is not right at all. So I'm looking forward to seeing what changes appear. And guys, remember that this isn't me reviewing the product. The product is not complete. This is feedback, hopefully that can be put to good use. Guys and girls, I hope you have yourself a good week. Hopefully we should see this goddamn roadmap soon. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Take care.